Morning everyone, Sheepdog here. This morning we're going to talk about Glock triggers. We're going to talk about Yeti and Yeti Firearms and Xwerks, as well as Raven Concealment and Aries belts. So let's get started. Make sure I'm going to show you this firearm is clear. Okay, so what we have here, most of y'all are going to be able to tell what it is. It's a Glock 19 Gen 4. This Glock 19 Gen 4 came from Yeti Firearms and their partner next door to them in Arizona, Xwerks. And what Xwerks does is they do Cerakoting for anything and everything. I've seen them do automotive parts, rifles, shotguns, ARs, handguns, anything. You can think of it, they will do it. They'll figure it out. Well, they have a partnership with their next door neighbor in the same shopping center, Yeti Firearms. And Yeti Firearms is a firearms dealer in Arizona, and they come up with paint schemes, different things for different firearms and rifles and such. And this is one of their most popular setups. This is a Magpul green and an FDE tan. Obviously, it's in a Glock 19 Gen 4, and the workmanship and craftsmanship that I've seen here on this firearm with the Cerakoting is absolutely phenomenal. It has minimal wear just from drawing and withdrawing and reholstering of my firearm, because I do a lot of dry fire practicing here around the house just to get faster and more efficient. And the one thing I've really enjoyed about, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I noticed about Xwerks and what they did was they even did the inside of the frame all the way to the mag well. Every piece, even on the inside, is done, and just absolute great craftsmanship. So definitely check them out, xwerks.com. Yeti Firearms is on Facebook, so definitely go there, check them out, pick them up. They I believe we paid $605 for each one of ours. I bought my wife the Tiffany Glock 26 for her, and I think we paid like $605 for each one. Typically you're going to pay anywhere between $100 to $150 for coatings. So per the basis of what the firearms cost plus the coating fee, we came out, it wasn't high priced, it was what it was supposed to be as far as fair market value. As far as the modifications to my own Glock, let's get started. We have a Larry Vickers slide release and a Larry Vickers mag release. Keynote to you guys on them if you ever do Cerakoting's, and I don't see it being a design issue by Larry Vickers and Tango Down. When I put in the mag release to begin with, when I would push the mag release, it would lock out in that position. It would just stay there, and I'd have to literally push it in with my hand just to be able to get in another mag. So I took some 220 grit sandpaper and just slowly, really finely sanded it down, and now with a little bit of lube as well, I mean, it operates better than the factory one. So that's that part. Then I bought from Lone Wolf Distributors, I bought an extended takedown lever. My hands are meaty and they're large, and sometimes it's not easy to grab smaller things, and we all know that takedown lever is very small from Glock. As well, from Lone Wolf Distributors, I bought a butt plug. Absolutely believe in these. Glock, you don't have an issue with Glocks. They'll run all day even when they're dirty, but I like my firearms clean. Not just my handguns, but my rifles. I spent enough time in the desert that I got tired of cleaning actions from sand and debris and dirt and everything else, so I try to keep them clean as I can. Onto the inside of the frame, what I did here with my Dremel tool and some others mag wheel polish, I just mirror polished the feed ramp. And then here's my favorite part here from the frame, so to speak, is the trigger kit that I bought. I know there are companies, ZevTech, you've got a plethora of other triggers out there, Pyramid, so on and so on, and they're all great, but I wasn't looking for anything really too much of a headache, that was easy to use, didn't take a lot of adaptation, no drilling or anything like that, and I didn't really want to have to spend time tweaking it to figure it out where I wanted the trigger at. And so I ran across GlockTriggers.com. And what GlockTriggers.com does is they use factory OEM parts, they polish them to a mirror, then they bounce them, weigh them out, make sure they're perfect. You get a 3.5 pound trigger bar. Now on the kit that I bought, that's what I got, but there are other trigger bars that they use, a 3 pound and so on, and there's even a New York trigger bar that they use for different kits. There's a Travis Healy kit that's supposed to make your trigger more like a 1911. There's a Guardian trigger kit, and I think there's a few others, but the one that I bought cost me $150, and it was from Ken Hackathorn. And what you get in the Ken Hackathorn trigger kit is you get two different setups. You get a duty carry and a competition. Now these aren't all the parts, obviously, because I have a mixture of the parts in here, but you get a safety plunger spring and you get the safety plunger as well that's been polished and cleaned up. And I have the competition safety plunger spring in there, and then obviously I've got a 3.5 pound trigger bar. And on the firing pin side, I believe I took the duty carry spring out of that and put that in for the firing pin spring. The only other thing that I did also from Lone Wolf Distributors was in here I bought the trigger spring itself, a competition one, and I'm telling you guys, from a trigger perspective, I've owned 1911s all my life. I love 1911s, but I honestly think that the trigger setup that I have here is the same, if not better, than the 1911. Going on to the slide, as I said, when you buy the trigger kit, you get the safety plunger, and they give you, depending on what you put in there, you have different setups. So obviously I have the duty carry firing pin spring, and then I've got the competition safety plunger spring in here. The other thing I did was I bought Larry Vickers Wilson Combat night sights for the Glock. And the thing I love about those is that you have the blacked out rear and the raised front. Now, I do not know if the raised front is high enough for an RMR, but I do know that the raised front's high enough for a suppressor with a threaded barrel. And at one point I did have a threaded barrel in this, but with the holster that I went with, I had to turn around and just give it back, and haven't looked back since. So that's all the mods to my Glock. Now what we'll do is we'll go on and talk about the holster. The only holster company that we go with in this house is Raven Concealment. Folks, I can't talk enough about Raven Concealment. They have some of the best holsters around that I've ever seen. And I've been in the concealed carry industry, law enforcement and military, for years, and I've had sock drawers full of 10 to 15 holsters. Trading, changing out holsters every couple days because one gets uncomfortable, or you find another one online that you think is good, and then it turns out to be a wash. And I ended up buying from them the Phantom. And originally, when I bought the Phantom, the clips, or if you will, the belt clips I got with it were the pancake wings, because off some suggestions in YouTube, and I'm not knocking anybody, they had said that the pancake wings were the best fit for keeping the holster tight against your body with a belt. And after about 6 months, I started losing a little bit of weight, and I had to buy a new belt, and I bought this Carhartt belt. Well, the belt was about $50, and as you can see, the pancake wings were too big. Now, that's my fault, because I bought 2-inch pancake wings, because at some point I wanted to go to a Riggers type belt or something like that, and started doing some research. Couldn't find a Riggers belt that I liked or that I wanted that was going to be stiff enough, and I said, well, why don't I go with their most coveted strap, which is the quick mount strap. And the first set that I bought, and this really proved to me just how great of a company Raven Concealment is. This is the first set that I bought, and I bought them about probably 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And I mean, they got tore up, period, end. And it wasn't, I had bought them like Monday or Tuesday, and they came on a Friday of that same week. And I was already having issues with them. I couldn't get them to snap at all. I even tried some pliers. I mean, I watched some YouTube videos. I made sure that I was installed them the right way. And so I called Raven Concealment that Monday morning, and a week later, they, after talking to a woman by the name of Kathy, and I think she answers the phone all the time for them, she said, well, I'll tell you what, keep that set. I'm going to send you some new ones. And a week later, I got the new set. And I put these on. I've had these new ones on for about 3 days. And let me tell you, I can't get enough of these. It holds the holster even tighter to my body than the pancake wings do. They're adjustable to all different belt sizes, all the way down to an inch, all the way up to 1.75 inches. Very comfortable. They snap on easily. I will say this, when I talked to Kathy, she said, well, we'll take a candle and rub the candle on the male portion edge of the snap. And I didn't want to ruin my wife's candles, so I used Carmex. And believe it or not, those things just went on there like a glove. There was no having to adjust the internal ring. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There is a copper ring inside here. You may or may not be able to see it. It spins, and there's a gap in it. Now the rule, the not guidelines, but the handbook or the installation manual says that ring is supposed to be 180 degrees from the fold on the snap. And if you want to open it, meaning enlarge it to loosen it or tighten it, you need to, if you're looking at the strap, it goes to your right. And I did all that, and I did everything I could, and they sent me new ones. And I think it was probably just a defective set, because the minute I put these on, they worked wonderfully. I called Kathy back the next day, and she said, don't even worry about sending them back to me. Just keep them. You may be able to use them later on, throw them away, whatever. We're glad you're happy. So big shout out to Kathy and Raven Concealment. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm telling you, my wife was afraid of using this holster at the beginning with her Glock, and after about a week of wearing it, absolutely loved it. And that was the only holster that she cared to have anymore at that time. On to Aries belts. You saw the belt that I was using, and I'm in the process of losing a little bit of weight. I'm not a large fella. I'm 6 foot down to 204 pounds, and I was using the Carhartt belt all the time. Great belt, leather belt. You need a leather belt. Don't get me wrong. It held up even with, and these are the only mag holsters I use, but I'm going to change that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I wanted a really stiff outdoor belt that could be used for any purpose, and that was going to pull the firearm in even tighter than it already was with the quick mount straps. And this is it. Now granted, it's $90. That's a lot of money. I told my dad about it. He's like, I can't believe you paid $90 for a belt. I don't fault him, but over the years, in this industry, I've come to the premise that, just how many belts have I bought over the years to make my concealed carry life better. And you can go look at my closet over the years, and I've got tons. Whereas if I had just spent the money and bought one excellent product, then I wouldn't have done all that, and I could have saved the money and used it elsewhere. And that's why I bought it. Now, everybody knows the infamy of the Cobra belt, so I'm not going to, or Cobra buckle, excuse me, so I'm not going to go into that. This pulls in the firearm really, really well. The only issue I have now is that this is an 1.5 inch belt, and I've got the holster set up for it, but my belt loops on my pants are too big. So I need to find pants that will not be so loose and allow the belt, to slide up and down. But it's not to say that the belt isn't doing the job. The belt holds the holster, period. And the belt does not slide up and down. The only time the belt slides up and down is if I grab the holster and the whole assembly moves, and it actually takes the pants with it. So it's gripped on there. The other thing I've discovered is that on the Aries belt, that specifically the Glock mag holsters, the way it sits on here, I mean, it pinches the whole thing down like that, and it becomes very uncomfortable. So what I suggest, and what we're going to do, is we're going to order mag holsters from Raven Concealment, and it's the same proprietary system where they have the Kydex mag holsters, and then they use the quick mount straps, and that's the only thing we're going to use for myself, from the firearm holster to the mag holster to my wife's holster and her mag holster. So that would be my advice to you on that. Just all around great setup, really and truly, between the Aries belt, the Raven Concealment system that we have, and that's the only holster family we're going to use, and the Xwerks and the Yeti Firearms, even down to the Glock triggers. So that's everything. I didn't mean to make it 16 minutes. I apologize about that, but it was just a lot of intel to get out there, and I wanted to share with you. So stay safe, stay alert, stay alive, and have a great week.